Welcome to the Echo Tips podcast.
Yippee!
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips podcast. Do you see that document I sent you about a class syllabus?
Yes, I see the class syllabus document you sent. It's for an Introduction to Physics course at Accessible University, including course objectives, schedule, and grading information.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Echo Tips podcast, your returning listeners and you new listeners as well. For you newbies, we'll be giving you a rundown about what the show is all about in just a second, but at a high level, our core gems and topics we'll be discussing this week, our little diamonds in the rough, are going to be all related to the A-Lady Plus beta rollout here in the United States for our A-Lady devices. That is A-L-E-X. I didn't say her name. But in particular, we're going to be delving into a unique feature, and that is the ability to upload documents, which we've covered before, but we're also going to be talking about something else, and that is your ability to email your A-Lady. That's right, she's got an email address, and you can send her documents that you want her to triage, or maybe appointments. I think of maybe a parent who maybe is registered with the school to get emails about their children and holidays and teacher work days, and the ability just to maybe have those set up to auto-forward to your A-Lady so you can just, keep up to date with that. I mean, all sorts of neat things come to mind. So we're going to be talking about that. We'll also be talking about maybe some of you had early access to the A-Lady beta and you had done some of the document stuff. The Washington Post posted an article back in March that mentioned some were having difficulties or there wasn't even a mechanism for deleting said documents. And there were some people that were concerned about that, the privacy implications of that. There were some original directions to call customer support to have that information wiped, but some of them had heard that it wouldn't be wiped. Well, all of that is water under the bridge. There actually is a mechanism for deleting all the information, just as we would expect from Amazon. They're extremely good about letting you know all the information they're logging. They divvy it out, when it happened, what it happened, and would you like to wipe it all? And your easy way we're going to highlight today that you can do that as well. Okay, so before we delve into this in any sort of depth, first I would like to tell our new listeners what the show is all about. So welcome, you new listeners, to the Echo Tips podcast. My name is David Ward. I'm the host of the show, and we are in our 7th season, over 360 episodes. We're approaching the end of season 7, in fact, and that's 52 episodes a year. And we usually put out, let me think about this, new episodes around the end of the week, maybe like Wednesday to Friday. This week we're a little later getting those out. Sorry about that, guys. So we've been doing this for all those seasons. We've covered all the way back to the original hardware with the Echoes, the Dots, all the new releases. If there's applications, games, music, media, videos, applications for kids, purposes for families to use it, and parents, caregivers, seniors, home automation, home security, just so many different things that we can do with our A-Lady devices, and even more things now that we have the new A-Lady infused with AI goodness in the A-Lady beta. So very, very cool, and we'll be taking a look at that today. And in fact, I'm going to be saying the A-Lady name quite a bit through this episode, so I'm going to shut the ears off of my Echo here so that I can talk to you guys about it and mention some of those key words. So if you have an Echo in hearing distance of me today, you may want to do that same thing, because we don't blurp it out here on the show. We do it for the reals, man. We do the real thing. It's grassroots. We do it the way we say the name. So anywho, I think that's basically it. So welcome, like I said, you new listeners, and we're going to transition into that topic today, dealing with emailing our A-Ladies, getting documents to our A-Ladies, triaging those documents with our A-Ladies, and, managing them if we need to delete them or wipe them for privacy purposes. All right, well, let's delve in to our core topic. All right, guys, so let's delve right into this. Now, I'm going to revisit some of our earlier experiences getting documents into our AV ladies and asking their information about those documents and things like that, like I did a college transcript in an earlier episode. We'll rehash that out here in a second. I want to introduce you to the new goodness, which is the ability to send an email to the AV lady. Now, I didn't find a website or any description about this online, although it was mentioned at the February event conducted by Panos Panay. But ironically, I learned about it by just talking to my lady about, hey, how can I get documents to you so that you can help me with them? And she said, email them to me. And so there you go. And the email address that you'll use is alexa@alexa.com. So I don't know. Can't get much easier than that. Sounds a little rhetorical or redundant, whatever, however the proper phrasing of that would be, alexa@alexa.com. But that is how you get information to her. Now, in this particular case, that could be a simple email. I think that could be very powerful. We'll talk about that in a second. Also, it could be an email with an attachment, a PDF or something like that, which I've done. And also it could be an email containing a photograph that I've attached, and I've done that as well. So let's delve right into it. Now, the first thing that I tried out was I thought I'd throw her for a ringer by using a PDF document that actually was a scan of a document, not an OCR document. Now, for those that don't know, OCR documents or documents where the text is actually selectable means that you can copy and paste information out of that PDF. And for more importantly, for accessibility purposes, those that have disabilities such as blind or vision impaired, deaf, blind, and the like can use different technologies such as a braille display or a screen reader to read that information back to them. Can't do that with a scanned image of a document. It may visually on screen look the same, but it's not the same. Also, a computer can't triage that without using specialized software. In this case, it would be object recognition software or optical character recognition software, OCR, which turns that image, finds the text, and matches the font and pulls that information and then recompiles the document in such a way that it has access to that information. And for our purposes, that's really good because the AI can then process that information. So here's an example. Let me turn the ears on my Echo here on. Alexa, do you see that document I sent you about a class syllabus?
Yes, I see the class syllabus document you sent. It's for an introduction to physics course at Accessible University, including course objectives, schedule, and grading information.
Tell me about the grading information.
The grading system uses a 10-point scale where 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, and so on. Grades are based on homework, 45%, exams, 50%, and projects, 15%.
Okay, while I got you, I sent you another email with a document that actually had a picture attached to it with two individuals in the picture. Can you describe that, or do you have access to that?
Yes, I have access to that picture. It shows a person in a gray suit with a patterned tie standing next to someone in a long green dress with red curly hair. Both are facing the camera against a blue background.
Excellent. Thank you. That gentleman in the suit was yours truly.
Ah, I see. Thanks for the introduction. You clean up nicely in that suit.
Okay. All right. So there, I'll mute her. All right. So there you go. Right there, we demoed a PDF document that I sent to her, and just not any PDF, an inaccessible PDF that was just a scanned image, but the actual title of the document just was class-syllabus.pdf, but you could clearly see she pulled out the physics information, the grading sketch, all that kind of stuff out of the document. So they clearly did an OCR of the document. That way the AI could process the information. So that speaks well to her ability to process any kind of PDF document, I think. I mean, I haven't tested the limits of it if it's like a 100-page or 200 pages of PDF. Can she process it or not? But now I'm getting ideas. Maybe I will. You see, you start to get ideas when you get these new technologies. It could be really cool if you think about having a manual in there for Windows 11 or a manual in there for using whatever type of software you're using. That could be really kind of cool. Or even like your Dell user manual or something. That could be really, really handy. So really, really nifty there. Second thing you saw me do is on a separate occasion, I sent her an email of a picture. This was covered in the event as well in February by Panos Panay. Her ability to process information. Now, we learned earlier in a past episode the ability to use the show and tell feature where she actually snaps a picture using the Echo Shows to help do object recognition and things like this. But this is another kind of similar concept, but on the back end, the ability for you to forward emails to her or send emails to her at alexa@alexa.com and then her to process those pictures. And that's exactly what she did. I had no real description about the picture. I just said, here's a picture, and I think it might have said, it was very vague, but she isolated the characters in there and gave me feedback. Now, I will say that I am a little disappointed in the versatility of that because it wasn't very detailed. I mean, you heard exactly, basically, the extent of what she's willing to tell me. I couldn't dig deeper into it and ask about the pattern of the tie more, what their facial expressions were, or tell me, is there any logo? It seems to run it through a one-time picture to translation filter that's a very quick synopsis, like 2-sentence statement. So it's not like a running AI discussion about a picture that I can do with things like Seeing AI or Be My Eyes AI or any of the other services out there where you might think about doing that, or Envision or something like that. So it seems to almost like run it through a back-end server filter that just kind of stamps on basically the equivalent of alt text to the picture. And it's a very short and sweet, almost like a Facebook or Twitter automated alt text, basically, for those pictures that it's giving you. So it's kind of vague, but it's helpful. Now, it may be agentically possible to tell it to add it to the my photo, whatever you call that, my photo library, so it appears on my photo deck on my Echo Shows. I haven't tried that yet. But I think what's most important to me is the ability to triage information this way. And here's another powerful tool. So not only can she process just the raw attachments, the PDFs or the pictures, think she's processing the emails as well. So think of a mom who is registered with her kids' elementary school to get notices about teacher work days, holidays, is school going to be running late tomorrow due to snow or whatever. The ability for her to set up her email client or her Gmail to just auto forward that to Alexa at alexa.com. That way she has access to it immediately on her A-Lady device. She could walk in the morning or have a routine that says, hey, is there anything that I need to know about? In my case, in my instance, the thing that I found it super useful for is events or things that I'm being invited to or I need to attend. And I can just get it over there and I say, hey, A-Lady, do you see that event that's going on? Whatever it is, whatever committee meeting or whatever. Oh yeah, that's on August the 5th at 2 p.m. or whatever. Okay, now that you know that, add that to my calendar, right? And boom, she added it to my calendar. In fact, I did a very sophisticated, if not crazy thing on one instance. Me and a group of gentlemen have a rotation on the weekends on Saturdays and Sundays, and two of us flip back and forth on Saturdays and Sundays. Activities that we have. And it actually involves doing some pastoral visits at a local hospital to check on some individuals from our congregation. And so anyway, we flipped back and forth. And I sent this list and said, hey, can you add this to my calendar? Now, the first time, I think she got it kind of goofed up because it was admittedly a pretty complex schedule. I would be on Saturdays for 1 month, and then I'd flip over to Sundays. And then on either Saturday or Sunday, I was swapping between two different parts of the hospital or two different hospitals. And so that was kind of rough. But if I walked her step by step, month by month about it, she could see the Excel document that I converted to a PDF and emailed to her. And and I'd say, okay, add that month, all those appointments, those weekends to the calendar, and she would do it. And was super, super helpful and powerful, I thought. So, that I think in many ways is going to be what's amazing, especially in the future, if there's a bigger agentic component to this that maybe is a trigger. And actually, I've already asked the routines if there's an email trigger, and there's not yet, but I think that could be super cool. So like the moment she gets an email that I forward to her, that could be a fully automated process on the other end. Think about that mom who gets an email that school is going to be late tomorrow due to snow. If there was a routine on the A-Lady side that could say, whenever a new email comes in, trigger a response. If it says something about, the kids being late for school or something changing with the school day, notify me immediately. And, or something like that. I think that could be really powerful because email is such a facet of, even though it's a very ancient technology and it's antiquated, it ain't going nowhere. And we still use it for everything. And so I think it's so cool that we can just route it over to her and ask her a question and triage information. And in this context, add something to our calendar, which I think is super, super cool. Okay. So that runs you down through how to do that at alexa.com. Hey guys, just a little post-production note here. I forgot to mention the mechanics of how this actually works. So if some of you are about to send an email to alexa@alexa.com, make sure you're doing it from your email account that's registered with Amazon. In other words, the exact same Amazon account your A-Lady device is on. That's how she does the pattern matching and knows to shuttle that documentation, that email, that picture, whatever it is, and associated with your A-Lady's account. So if you're getting really excited about sending one from your work email, just bear that in mind. You need to send it from your email that's associated with your Amazon account. But just wanted to give you guys that quick little tip because I hadn't explained it earlier. The other thing I want to mention to you is this privacy concern. So like I mentioned back in March, there was some concerns about not being able to delete the documents and things that people had uploaded. And the Washington Post did a little story about it and the like. Since then, that's water under the bridge, and it's easy to go in and see what you had uploaded, when you uploaded it, and to wipe it out if you want to. Now, I at first had thought maybe it had deleted itself because I had come back and asked about a college transcript at one point, and she kind of had a moment where she didn't remember it was there, and I thought maybe it automatically wiped itself, but no, it's still in there. So you can do this by opening up your Alexa app on your phone or tablet, and you're going to go to the More button kind of down in the center, and that will slide open an extension menu or slide down a menu. And then you're going to go to, it's right under settings. It says Alexa Privacy. You're going to go to Alexa Privacy, and that's going to open up a portal window to basically a web page where you have all the configuration options and privacy settings for your Alexa. And those actually are extensive. Amazon is very transparent about everything that they're tracking. And you can go in there and purge to your heart's delight if you want. But there's a new section in there now as a consequence of Alexa Plus, and it says attachments. And right under it has a paragraph that says, these are documents, blah, blah, blah. And if you tap on that, it'll bring up a whole pane that's devoted to that. And I think the default listing is based on sequence, based on most current at the top, all the way down. And you'll see such and such PNG photo file. So that was the file that she identified with a picture that it had in it. Then below that, it had the physics syllabus, which was a PDF. And you could just go down through that list, and you can purge it. You can do whatever you want with it. So super handy, powerful, and private. You can go in there and purge that information. I haven't tried to verbally purge anything yet, but that may be something that happens because, I mean, up until now, you've generally had really good verbal privacy controls. You could say delete something I just said, or you could say delete everything I've said today. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a verbal component where we can just say, would you like you to delete that. Okay, so that will kind of wrap up things for this. Very, very powerful, I think. If we eventually get some sort of trigger functionality, I think that could be really good. Up until now, though, I think our best bet is just maybe asking periodically. If we do set up something that automatically gets forwarded to our A-Lady, I think probably just asking, or I guess you could set up a routine every day, 7 o'clock or something, it checks. The one thing I would highlight that I find a little bit goofy is I sometimes will ask her something very basic. I'll say, do you see that email I just sent you? And she doesn't really triage that very well. She's like, email? What email? I don't know what you're talking, or I don't think so. And I'm like, I know you got it. And so it's not very good at the logic of email and documents and the lingo there. And I sometimes come back and, okay, there was a document I sent you, a picture I sent you, or it had a file name like this, or it was a document that was a PDF. Oh, yeah. So, and she's not very good with timestamps either in that respect. I don't know if she gives me back the timestamp. Actually, let's try it here. Alexa, you remember that syllabus we were just talking about?
Yes. I remember the syllabus we just discussed. It's for an Introduction to Physics course at Accessible University, covering topics
Alexa,
like inertia.
When did I send that document to you?
You sent the document to me today at 2:55 a.m.
Actually, I think she might be close to right on that. Okay. What about the picture? Alexa, when did I send the picture to you?
You sent a picture to me today at 3:06 a.m.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so actually, she did better than I thought. It has been, I think, using California time or something, and that was happening, so that I think actually might be all right. But sometimes I've had trouble just asking her, the most recent thing, or I don't know, it must be a logic gap between the large language model and time frames. But anyway, it's kind of like how LLMs are sometimes bad at math. But anywho, play with that. Give me y'all's feedback about that. I would love to hear your feedback. And you can email me, although I'm not a bot, at ecotipspodcast@certdoctor, CERT, Dr. DOCTOR.com. And we'd love to hear your feedback. In a future episode, I'm thinking about maybe revisiting these routines again. And we talked about temporary routines. And now I'm kind of leaning towards maybe talking about managing routines. And from one of our listeners, Tony, he talked about how he appreciated the ability to enable and disable routines. And I've talked to some other people too about routines. And so I think that might be a handy thing. Certainly with the new A-Lady Plus, we've talked about how versatile it is to just verbally create a routine. But now I want to look at maybe like going back and editing routines, triaging routines. I've had some pretty cool stuff. My HVAC was out recently, and then I got it fixed and was back on. And then I started noticing, wait, is it coming on automatically? Is it going off? And then I just said, wait a minute. Hey, lady, do we have a routine that's controlling that? And then I realized I had set up something a long time ago, back when it was working. And she instantly isolated what routine was doing that. So there's some really cool stuff from a management perspective of editing, triaging, adapting, making changes to things that I haven't got a lot of experience with, but I would like to dip my toes in, and that way I can bring that information to you guys as well. All right. Well, that'll bring the show to a close. Again, as always, we thank you. We thank you for listening.